Yo, yo, yo! What's up, guys? This is Maverick here from the Musings&Review channel, bringing to you guys the grand finale of Dr. Stone Season 1. Yes, we can add a Season 1 now because it has been announced that there is going to be a Season 2 of this anime. And, well, I am glad, right? Well, so far, not that much information has been released, only presumably it'll be out in 2020. I'm guessing that perhaps there's a good chance we'll see it by 2020 fall, but, well, it'll be done when it's done, right? And, yeah, that's great news for me as well, right? I'm still am very much in love with this series, with the manga particularly. I do have some misgivings towards the anime adaptation. I feel like it kind of, even though expanded on some things, it had a few things that didn't do really well, some animation problems, and some story problems. But overall, I'm just glad that, you know, this series is getting the recognition it deserves. And as I've said numerous times before, the series only gets better as time goes on, right? Like, you know, it's like, it's all this upwards trajectory even up to now, and yeah, it only gets more and more epic and more fun, and all the characters become better and better over time. So we're not even scratching the tip of the iceberg right now, honestly. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, right? We still have the final episodes to watch. Last episode, we see Senko and company actually complete the cellular phone. Now, they should actually be completing 2, because otherwise, I don't know how are you going to talk with each other. But I guess I'll mention that in this episode as well. And since this is the finale, of course we're going to be having a big cliffhanger, since they're not really going to get anywhere, hence the reason for season 2. But yeah, if it's going to end where I think it will be, it should be a pretty damn good cliffhanger. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. And so far, there's not really any filler episodes within the manga as well. It's all had some sort of theme or topic to it. Oh dang, I could have just skipped the entire opening. Alright, hold on real quick. Let me skip this. And back. Voices over infinite distance. Yep. It's pretty much... Well, actually, are they going to get into the plan? I presume they will. From the humble beginnings to ramen to cell phones. Great, you got radio waves now. There we go. Hello. And of course, they can use a string version first. So it's a landline. But I mean, if you really wanted to be pedantic about it, you could have done the same thing with tin cans and wire as well. Yeah. Though probably not over that kind of distance. Go for it, Chrome! Come on, if you really want to confess, you gotta do it face to face. I agree with Chrome here. And suddenly he's like, why do you know what a speaker is? Hey. Big hint here. Ishigami. Yep, okay, with this pacing, we're gonna end with the hatching of a plan. She's awesome. Ooh. Pretty awesome, isn't it? I you know, even though I've already seen this before, but still, it's just great. Like, again, it's just great how the author does the pacing of the series. And just the stories and events and incidents that springs from it. It just gives you a feeling of epicness.
レコードっつうのは音を閉じ込めれるってことなのか。
でも音なんてつかめもしないんだよ。
みじんもわからない。どうやって？
レコードの仕組みはアホほど簡単だ。ジーマーでファイヤー。
Nice translation. Crunchyroll, nice translation.
ガラスに水掘ると音が溜まっちゃうってこと？ほほー、びっくりしちゃうわい。
やべえな、千空の親父。なあ、そりゃ違う。白夜じゃ無理だね。作ったのは周りの連中で。宇宙飛行士は科学エリートの集団だぞ。勢いで受かっちまった白夜以外。
Relentless.
思いつきはあの親父かもしんねえが、こんなしょうもねえ真似すんのはよ。
And yep, there we go. It's Senku's dad.
瓶底の円盤使えばレコード作れんじゃねえか？
いいかもしれません。ガラスってプラスチック以上に丈夫で、ちゃんと保存すれば何万年も持ちますもんね。
それ分かってて言ったの？
全然だ。丸いからいけんじゃねえかと思った。そこは肯定しとけよ、おじさん。するわけでった。みんな協力頼むわ。って言っちゃったよ。なんだよ、もっとほらおじさんをいたわってくれってばよ。しゃべる。作るにしても部品が足りないだろう、おじさん。乗ってきたソユーズに何か残ってるかもしれない。いいもんあったぞ。てってれー。俺の相棒電動ひげ剃り。すまん、ひげ剃りくん。お前のモーターは無駄にはしねえぞ。
Doing science.
コードプレイヤーは今まで使ったもんで結構簡単に作れんぞ。綿あめきのギアも使う。
スイカが取ってきたんだよ。
父上の盾を潰した甲斐があったな。大活躍じゃないか。
お前たちの役に立てれば。父はそれでいい。
こうやって人は年とともに社会の歯車になってくのね。文字通り。
何いきなり
I think this part is also added on. I don't quite remember this being in the manga.
使うものなんですが。
ああ、完璧だ。骨の針。レコードの再生側は楽なもんだ。だが録音側はそうはいかねえ。ガラス削るんだから家庭医師がいる。
What's hard in glass? Diamond.
これ使ってよ。
Ah.
おほー、ダイヤモンドだよ。
結婚指輪でしょそれ。ダメだよそんな大事なもの。どうせ普段つけてないし作業の邪魔だから、レコードの針にしてもらった方がダイヤも喜ぶよ。
I mean, this type of apocalypse situation,
混ぜてね。レコード作りとか。
you don't really need diamonds, right?
ありがとな。
No, but it's really cool, actually. See?
しゃあ、速攻で完成させてやったぜ。
Through thousands of years, still the same, working together to create science.
創始者様の声が聞けるらしいぞ。え、創始者様？数千年前の人間の声。
よし、回すぞ銀狼。
綿あめきで鍛えたんだよ。ぐるぐる回し。
Hand cranked.
これを聞いている何百年後か何千年後のどなたかわかりませんが、私は宇宙飛行士の石神白夜と申します。 様も
千空の父上の肉声。
なんつった堅苦しい建前。はい終わり。石化から復活を遂げて今このレコードを聴いてんのは千空お前だろ。わかるんだよ俺には。何百年何千年もしかしたらとんでもねえ時を超えて俺からお前への最後の通話だつってもそっちの声は聞こえやしねえがな。
One
千空
final
忘れんな。
recording.
俺はずっといやそういう親子の感動うんたらはいらねえ派だなお前は。とっとと本題へ行こう。
分かってんじゃねえか。
ドライだな父上に。
琥珀それお前も大概だぞ。
No, they just don't want to
千空
make it such a big.
お前がまだ
But I like this kind of relationship.
心を掌握できずに困っていたらこれを聞かせるといい。
Ah, the song.
音楽の灯火の消えた彼らに。
Alright, I'm gonna have to mute the music part, but hopefully you guys would have listened to it already. Oh wait, they actually made improvised instruments? Again, I don't think that was in the manga either. Or maybe it was, I don't know. It's literally her great 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 grandmother. Mm.
でもこんなの綺麗すぎるんだよ。
天女の声じゃい。
Hey, props to you for not stopping your hands.
リリアンちゃんは俺らの時代でも歌唱力世界トップの一人だからそんなのいきなり聞いちゃったらね。
やべえ人類200万年やべえ千空昔はこんなやべえ音楽がたくさんあったのかよ。
I mean,
音楽だけじゃねえゲームテレビ
you don't really need to.
映画
I mean, not to take any away from this scene anyway, but you know, people have been singing since times immemorial, so
超絶面白いもんが山ほどあった現物は消えちまったが全部
although they probably didn't have pop music, right?
撮ってる てめえらにも全部見してやるよ。司帝国ぶち倒して世界中の石像を復活させたらな。
絶対見てみたいんだよ。
めちゃんこワクワクするの。
世界中の石像を
とにかく
was through the roof.
石神村のみんなにも石化した旧人類を復活させたいってモチベ作っちゃった。リリアンちゃんの歌一発でね。村のみんなを戦いに巻き込んじゃったっていう千空ちゃんの引け目も消えるんじゃないの？
I love Gin. So perceptive.
センクあの時の言葉を見事実現させたな。初めて会った日に君が言った通り、この村は科学の国になったぞ。いよいよ始まるのだな。科学王国と司帝国の戦いが。
お速攻で携帯もう一個作って運ばねえとな。
ってことは千空ちゃん、とうとうあの二人の出番ってわけね。
ああ、ついに繋がるぞ。
Wait, we don't have much time left. Are they actually going to...
戦力がな。
It's been a while since we've seen them.
1年近く経つんだね。
待ってるぞセン
大きい声出しちゃダメだよ、大樹君。
しまったそうだったなセンク
Yeah. And the new antagonist.
冬時は近いです。
Huh. So they only showed their faces for like a second. Oh wow.
決戦は近いさあ科学の火を永遠に断ち汚れのない新世界を作り上げよう
司帝国本土決戦。ストーンウォーズの開戦だ。
Yeah.
そそるぜこれは。
Oh? Oh hey! They actually announced it in the anime. Alright. But wait, they didn't go over the plan. Ah, I thought they were going to end with the hatchling of a plan. The hatching of a plan. I guess this keeps it a little bit more epic, but I'll talk a little bit about that at the very end there. But in any case, see you guys after this. Alrighty, so there we go. The first season of Dr. Stone has come to an end. And I'll be honest, it actually didn't quite stop at the place where I thought it was going to stop. Not to spoil anything, but there is a particular scene right after this, actually, where Senku and company, through the developments of this episode, through, what they learned this episode, and so on and so forth, they sort of came up with a plan to, fight back against the Tsukasa Empire. And I thought that would have been a great point to end the first season there. So, leave people hanging and guessing. So for those of you guys who haven't read the manga before, you'd be wondering, wait, what is the plan? What are they going to do? And so on and so forth, right? And I felt like that would have been a great cutting point for the first season. But I guess they wanted to sort of use this opportunity to juxtapose the two factions against each other and also give us a glimpse of all the other enemies that they are going to eventually end up fighting. Enemies and potentially some other new friends, new faces, new companions, right? Which is also, I guess, if you are coming into this without knowing anything, or if you've only known... actually, I can't quite decide whether it's better for people who know what's going to happen or for those who don't know what's going to happen. But anyways, my personal preference would have been for them to end it on a cliffhanger where they are sort of going over this epic secret plan to to win against the Tsukasa Empire. But anyways, just my 2 cents here. So, what about this episode in particular, right? I mentioned this a little bit within the episode itself already, but I really like one of the themes that goes throughout Dr. Stone as a whole, and that is the concept of the connection over time, right? And what I mean over time is with the present, the modern day, right? The modern age within Dr. Stone, which is, the time period before the petrification wave hit everyone and turned everybody to stone, versus the current time here and the people that are here, right? Like the parallels to what they were doing back then and then what they are doing now. And we can see a little bit of that in this episode as well, with Senku's father, and his crew of astronauts and whatnot, how they were sort of doing science, hacking together a phonograph in order to record their voices, versus you see on Senku's side literally doing the same thing, right? He's also gathering people to help him, all working together, doing science, hacking together something that will be able to play the recording, right? And also in this episode, we have a literal connection here with the recording left by his father, right? So this is actually something that permeates throughout the entire series as a whole, and it's something that I just really like, right? So for instance, the scene here, the entire concept of, hey, the sole survivors of the world actually left behind a recording, and it's literally a recording from father to son, and so on and so forth. And even way back then, 3,000 something years ago, his father was already thinking of how to best help his son once he breaks out of stone, and how he can help him along in his quest to save everyone, right? And they are literally some of the only people who can't be saved, right? Senku's father and the fellow astronauts, right? I mean, since Senku is the protagonist here, I'm assuming at the very end he's going to find a way to save all the people on Earth, right? But those that have already died and perished out of old age or some other kind of complications or whatnot, they are already dead, right? So that is quite sad there. Literally everybody else will be able to survive except those 6, right? So I really like this entire linkage through time concept that they're doing here. As for the actual specifics of what happened, say for instance Lian's song, I don't know. I feel like it's okay, I guess you could say. I mean, it's definitely not a bad song, but considering how within the manga it was so hyped up in like this jaw-dropping, completely awesome, recording or performance, right? It doesn't really quite capture the epicness there, and I guess that's to be expected. It's really hard, and it's always a how can I say it? It's always really hard to do this when you sort of hype up some performance or somebody singing or a particular some particular music or whatnot within the original light novel or manga, and then once you actually translate it and adapt it into an animation, you're gonna have to actually make it as epic as it was described, right? And that's really hard. There are very few cases where I feel like the end product has lived up to the expectations there. One notable example here would be, and it's not even an animation, it's 20th Century Boys, the live action adaptation of it. They actually there's a particular song in there that I felt really captured the epicness in the original manga, and that is one of the few cases where I feel, okay, yeah, this is actually legit, right? So it's not something that I can blame on this anime. It's a tall task to do in the first place. With that said, however, on the topic of epicness, that is one of my problems with this adaptation as a whole. I feel like reading the manga itself gives me a lot more goosebumps, gives me a lot more feeling of, oh man, that is so freaking awesome, than I did in the anime, right? And I don't think it's a case of because I've already seen it before, I don't, so I'm less affected by it, right? Because I don't think that's the case, because when I go back and read the manga again of Dr. Stone, the same epic poses, the same epic scenes, I still feel the epicness there. but not that so much here in the anime as well. And that is really, like I said, if there's anything that I really do dislike about this anime adaptation, it's that the animation itself is, I'd say it's okay, but on some scenes it's lacking. It's lacking, right? Especially for a lot of the, the epic scenes and whatnot. I feel like what they're doing is they literally look at the manga panel and they colorize it, and then they make it into, they put that onto the screen and then make a panning camera shot over there. So, of course, that's putting it a little bit too simply. They still have some simple animations and stuff, but I feel like none of it really gives you the sense of, wow, that is so awesome, that is so cool, right? And that's probably my biggest complaint about the anime adaptation. For the rest, the animation itself does have some positive qualities that I wasn't expecting, such as adding some fluff, right? They expanded on some of the scenes that weren't explained that well. Well, I shouldn't say explained, but it wasn't touched on that well in the manga, and it's really trivial. Actually, it's non-essential scenes, but at least it adds a little bit of flair, right? I talked about this numerous times in the episodes before ago. I'm not going to count each and every scene, but it is, it's something nice that it did, right? And also, they didn't really cut out anything important, so we still have the, it's still a cohesive plot and whatnot. It's not like jumping back and forth like some other adaptations. With that said, however, I believe it was very early on, like in the first 4 or 5 episodes, I did have a problem with the portrayal of Senku's relationship with Tsukasa. I feel like the anime really did drop a ball there in regards to, the dynamic between those two, because it's actually really important, especially later on. But, that is like one case out of the entire season, right? So, for the most part, I'd say it's still a pretty good adaptation. And, well, hopefully they can actually go into season 2 and make it even better, right? So in season 2, I am definitely looking forward to that. We got new friends to make, new signs to do, and more gadgets to utilize, right? And like I said before, this series only goes up, right? So even within this season, I feel like people can understand that, season the first half of it versus the second half of it, the second half is where they really start to get into all these epic situations, and make these, really interesting gadgets and whatnot, and then utilize them in different creative ways in order to reach their end goal, right? And this is a theme that is consistent throughout, except the stakes keep getting higher and higher, and stuff that Senku and company actually invents and, well, I shouldn't say event. The stuff that they draw up and eventually make gets more and more ridiculous, right? And so that's why, season 2 is undoubtedly, just story-wise, it's going to be better than season 1. In fact, if it does do well enough and continues to get a season 3, I would also say that the story of season 3 would probably be better than season 2 or season 1. Right, so it's only gonna get up from here, and I'm excited. I am definitely going to be watching season 2 once it comes out, and hopefully you guys will come along with the ride as well. So there you go. For those of you who are new here, feel free to subscribe, look at my other stuff, and so on and so forth. And if not, well, no hard feelings. Go watch whatever you want, because you do you. But in any case, this has been your host, Maverick, from Musings&Review, and I hope I'll see you guys soon sometime. Until then, take care, and bye-bye.